Okay, so we are gonna dig into this deliciousness right here, but I want to thank Trish for joining us for, what is that? That was too funny, I should have just kept going. Alright, hi everyone, I'm super excited to be here with my friend Trish from the law school. She's a lawyer, she is a cook, and we are actually cooking today as we get to know each other.
Yes.
And bonding over food. So tell me a little bit more about why we're cooking, how you got into it, and what we're making.
Okay, so why we're cooking? Well, Nicole reached out to me after reading my blog at thepetitgourmand.com and liked what I had, so she decided to call me up, and today we're going to be cooking a really simple green salad and a pasta primavera, and we're drinking some delicious Aperol spritzers that we'll be giving the recipe for in just a little bit. And how did I get into cooking?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm sure you'll tell us more throughout the actual cooking phase of the day.
I'll start by saying that it started with my grandmother, my paternal grandmother. She came to visit us from Chile when I was, I had to have been maybe 7 or 8 years old. And I had really wanted to cook before then, but my mom was super paranoid and was like, no, you can't cook, you're going to cut off your fingers. You know,
common.
How parents are, the usual. It wasn't until my grandma came that she started letting me cook with her, and I just fell in love with it, and that was kind of it. I was hooked.
Okay, and now you still cook even when you're practicing, right?
I do. I try to cook as often as I can, at least 2-3 times a week to last for a couple days. But it is hard being a professional and cooking, which is why I try to make all my recipes as simple as possible, because I'm hoping that some of my readers are professionals and that they do want to find recipes that are going to be simple enough for them to really just nourish themselves and also kind of impress their friends, even though that's not the point of cooking. But
kind of is, right?
Kind of is.
There's a social aspect to it. All right, very good. So we are actually going to dive in. We're going to cook today, and you actually mentioned what we're already making, so let's get to it. Okay, so we're starting off with a drink first. So tell me a little bit more about what we're making over here.
So we are making an Aperol spritz. It's really simple. It's great for like a before dinner drink. You're just putting in a little bit of Aperol, about 1.5 ounces, some Prosecco, so about 3 ounces of that, and then filling up the rest of the glass with some club soda and putting in a little bit of lemon peel. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, I'm excited to try it.
Cheers.
Here we go. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, here we go. All right, so maybe we can look at some of the veggies in their raw form before we actually cook them. So what are you working with?
Okay, so these are broccolini. I took off all these leaves. I don't want to waste them though, they're actually really tasty. So for our pasta primavera, we're gonna make a mint pesto, and we're actually gonna add these leaves to the pesto, so we're not gonna waste anything. And then below that I have zucchini. Unfortunately, I already chopped it up or julienned them. So this is zucchini, just regular zucchini squash. I have some delicious mint. And what got me really excited, because I did not know this until Nicole told me, she just totally schooled me on this. These are English peas. They're fresh. I think a lot of us are used to seeing them in the supermarket in the frozen aisle. Oh, here, let me just cut this little sucker. It's being very difficult. And I thought that they would be much harder to process. Look at that. They're just these beautiful little
And they're delicious.
peas that you can eat straight out like that.
Yep.
And they're so good. And they're fresh. So that is what is going to be part of our pasta primavera today.
But I'm going to ask you. Okay, so we just put some water for the pasta. You put a crap load of salt, but explain to me why you did that.
Is that a standard measurement? Crap load?
That is a very precise measurement.
I think it is. I'm going to accept it. Yes, I did put like a decent amount of salt.
Yeah, it was okay.
I would say it's almost like, okay, I have very tiny hands, so it's for me to say like a handful of salt is like not that much. It's like a very small little handful. Just throw it in there, and I know it seems like a lot, but the pasta itself doesn't actually absorb that much of the salt. If you don't put enough, there's not going to be any salt in the pasta. It's not going to be flavored. So we just do it to make it a nice flavorful pasta.
Okay. And then over here, we've got our peas.
So pretty.
Yeah. And delicious.
Mint.
Some mint.
Our broccolini leaves, I took out the the stems and the ribs.
Okay.
And then here's the broccolini and the zucchini, and we got some pasta over here, and I'm gonna cut up some oranges in just a minute for the salad.
So tell me, how are you cutting this thing up and why?
Okay, so this is a cara orange. I am taking off the skin, basically all of it. I know that's like a decent amount in there. I might eat some of that later, actually.
Yeah.
But this makes it really easy to section it off and put it into a salad.
Okay.
And whenever you see like little orange segments in a salad, this is what the person is doing to get it prepped, is they're taking all the skin, including the pith, off of it.
Okay. I've never cut it like that. That's kind of cool to watch.
Yeah, it's oddly satisfying.
I can see that.
And I really enjoy different types of citrus salads, because in California, especially Southern California, we have so many delicious citrus. That's why I'm using a cara. I think everyone's pretty used to seeing like a navel orange or Valencia orange, but these are really, really tasty. So I'm just cutting off some more of the skin.
Okay.
Here, always of course being careful with my knife and my fingers.
Yes.
Making sure we're not cutting ourselves. So you're gonna see here that there's these little lines on the segments. So I'm gonna cut close to those lines.
Oh wow, okay. Oh, see,
And
I didn't know that.
Close to those lines, I have a beautiful little segment.
Oh, pretty.
See?
Yeah.
So pretty. Now I'm gonna try to not eat it because
it's hard.
really, really tasty looking.
Yeah, and everything's really fresh.
Yeah, it's super fresh. And I actually just honed my knife to make sure it was super sharp. So it's really nice and sharp, and it's easy to use.
Okay.
Let me make sure that I'm doing this good.
So I'm going to ask you to multitask, because I'd love to hear more about you as a lawyer. Like, what do you do? What's a typical day for you? Tell me more about your job.
Sure. So I am a criminal prosecutor. I love my job, actually. I prosecute a lot of DUIs and vehicular crimes.
Okay.
So when I say vehicular crimes, I mean like driving without a license and stuff like that.
Okay.
Also hit and runs. We do a lot of hit and runs. We even do manslaughters, which are very emotionally draining. But I love what I do. I do a lot of legal research and writing right now, which is fantastic. I didn't realize how much I loved writing.
I was going to say, I don't know if fantastic is the word to describe legal research and writing, but I'm glad someone likes it.
Yeah, and I am that someone.
Yeah.
I happen to really enjoy it.
Thank you for your service.
So I'm doing a lot of that right now. It just feels good to start with this completely blank page and have it filled with something meaningful and something that is going to help me win my case. So it's always helpful. I do a lot of that. I do trials.
Okay.
I'm in, as I said, criminal law, which I never thought I was going to do. I was not attracted to criminal law at all. I came to law school for immigration law because my parents are immigrants, and I saw them struggle with becoming citizens, and it was really awful stuff. Being taken advantage of by attorneys, and I just thought I don't want other people to experience that, so I wanted to get involved. And of course I come to law school and I find that I'm just not interested in the law itself, so it was a little...
That's a problem.
It was problematic. Yeah, it was definitely problematic. But I left law school thinking I wanted to do estate planning, then that didn't work out. In fact, I got fired from my first legal job.
Okay.
Also, P.S., I didn't pass the bar the first 2 times, so that was really, really, really hard.
Yeah, that's very discouraging.
It was incredibly discouraging, and I went from doing like pretty well in law school to not passing the bar twice. It was just kind of like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Should I even be doing this? But I really felt like no one is going to tell me what to do, and this California State Bar is not going to tell me no. If I don't want to be a lawyer, it's going to be because I don't want to be a lawyer, not because someone tells me that I can't. So I kept on going, and I finally passed it, which was the best feeling in the world. Actually, I went to Disneyland.
Right.
Because
of course,
obviously.
Yeah.
So I went to Disneyland the day that the bar results came out, and I remember that once 6 o'clock rolled around, I went to the ESPN zone with my husband at downtown Disney and sat down and ordered myself a whiskey on the rocks and held that whiskey so tight until I finally was able to go onto the website and get the results, which said this name appears on the pass list.
Nice.
So,
right there at the restaurant.
at this bar, which was loud enough so that if I wanted to scream and like ugly cry, no one would really notice.
Oh man.
So
that why
so
do
it
you
worked
think?
out.
So what do you think? What do you think it was the first 2 times? Was it a mental thing? Because you're right, you were a great student and you're a very smart person. So what is it about the bar? Is it just the situation, the pressure?
The bar, I learned after taking it 3 times, is not a test of intelligence. It's a test of skills.
Yeah.
And I lacked the skills.
Okay.
The first time I definitely lacked the skills. And I remember leaving the testing site thinking, maybe I passed. Maybe I didn't. It was so stupid. But the second time around, I hired this tutor who was a total hack and told me just by taking the practice tests over and over and over again, you're going to do great. He didn't want me like memorizing rules or anything like that. So if anyone tells you kids don't look up the rules and memorize the rules, run away. Do not give them your money, okay?
Oh, wow.
So I left that test knowing I failed, which I think was way harder than leaving and thinking,
having some hope, yeah.
No, I knew I failed. Like they called the time and I looked down and put my head down and just started crying because I knew like I didn't pass it. That was it.
Oh my gosh.
It was awful.
Because you just couldn't remember, well, I mean, I guess you hadn't been training and memorizing the rules, so I guess wow, okay.
No.
That's really surprising that someone like that is still in business. Like how, I mean, I don't know if they,
not.
okay, I was gonna say, I don't know if they are or aren't, but good, I'm glad they're not. But you passed, you started practicing.
And then eventually found a job as a lawyer at an estate planning firm. That didn't really work out very well. I was called incompetent and was told that maybe I should consider another profession, which was really hard to hear.
Were you upset or did you take it to heart? Like, did you believe him?
Oh, I believed him.
Wow.
Absolutely, 100%. I believed him. I thought, what am I doing with my life? This is really, if I can't do this, then clearly I'm just not cut out to do this. But I ended up finding a mentor who I still am in touch with, and she's wonderful, and she took me under her wing and showed me how to do civil discovery.
Nice.
She worked in PI and still works in PI, which I wasn't really interested in anyway, but it was a way to get some experience and some job skills that I clearly must have been lacking. And she gave me some great advice. And she also encouraged me to apply to become a volunteer attorney in the city attorney's office. And I did that. And it was for criminal law. And I thought, criminal law. Oh my God, I'm totally not cut out for this.
Yeah.
I don't have a thick enough skin for this, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out that I loved it. And I was really good at it. And I am not incompetent at it, which is great.
Right.
It's nice to know you're not incompetent anymore.
Yeah. Did you ever reach out to that old employer ever again? Did you stay in contact? No. Okay, that's it.
No.
You just walked away from him.
I mean, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like what?
Just to show him that, just to kind of stick it to him and show him where you are.
Petty. And like it would make that person think that they're important and they're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess that's the mature thing to do.
Right, being a grown-up.
I know.
So hard. It's really hard. Okay,
all right, so tell me what you're doing right now.
So right now we're going to make the mint pesto. I've just put in 1 cup of packed mint leaves. And I don't really have like a measurement for the broccolini leaves, but it's got like a good handful. This might even be like a cup packed as well. Yep, this is a cup packed. They've been cleaned and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna put half of that in here. Okay, you're not allergic to pine nuts, are you?
I'm not.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So we're doing
I love pine nuts.
A quarter of a cup of pine nuts.
It's a good question to ask, I suppose. It's not something I would think of.
I mean, nut allergies are pretty serious.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm actually gonna do another half cup of mint just because I want this really We're going to save some of the mint for garnish, and maybe I'll just add it to some water later to, you know, because it's delicious.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your blog a little bit. So when did it start? Why did it start? Tell me all about it.
So I started my blog, well, first it started with different names. It started first as La Petite Gourmande on Tumblr.
Okay.
And then it became Cake or Death on WordPress.
Okay.
And then it became the Petite Gourmande on WordPress as well. But I decided that I was taking it seriously enough that I was going to buy the domain. So I did.
Okay.
And that was in about, I think 2013 or 2014 that I bought the domain. And I did it as, I guess, as a way to just document what I was cooking. Because I really love cooking, and I think food for me it's just a way to connect with people, and it connects you to memories. And I think that my strongest memory is probably I cooked a meal for some friends in high school, and I did like a sort of comfort food thing. I did like meatloaf and mashed potatoes and green beans.
Wow.
And I think I had to have been like 16 or 17 years old or something. And one of my friends who came to the actual event sat down, looked at everything, and he said, I've never had a home cooked meal before. And it's actually kind of like making me a little teary.
Yeah,
just about it. Because his mom wasn't around, his dad worked, they lived with his grandmother, so they would have frozen meals all the time, like you just pop in the microwave and that's it. So to me, I felt so, well, on the one hand, sad that he never experienced that, but on the other hand, I felt really honored and touched that I was able to provide that experience for him that he'd never had before. So I think food is important, and that is why I have my blog. I like to make people feel like they can do it. You know, I don't want them to ever feel intimidated that they can't cook, and I think that all of us being professionals, or at least I hope people that are looking at my blog are also professionals, that they feel inspired that, you know what, I can cook something too. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but it's good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so you added the pine nuts.
Yes, I added 1/4 cup of pine nuts. I'm adding a little bit of black pepper. I'm going to add about maybe a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. By the way, I'm totally just kind of making this up on the spot right now because I've never made this before.
It looks professional. Looks good.
Thank you. We're also going to add a little bit of pecorino romano to this, and I just realized I didn't shred it.
What are we waiting for right now? What's happening?
So right now we've got the water boiling for the pasta, and I am trying to cook down the broccolini a little bit to make it a little softer.
Okay.
And I put in some white wine, which is the only liquid I'm putting in here.
Okay.
And it's just going to cook up and absorb all those flavors from the white wine, and then we're going to add in our zucchini and our fresh English peas.
Ooh, sounds good. Okay, so we're gonna just alternate between cooking and then talking. I imagine a lot of law students are probably watching this, and they see that you're a lawyer, you're practicing, but you still manage to make time to cook and run this blog. So do you have any advice for young lawyers or law students or new lawyers who don't know if they are ever going to be able to balance between the two, between work and just having fun and enjoying what they really enjoy doing?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think and I learned this lesson in law school. I took on a lot.
Yeah.
I was in moot court. I also had a job. I also, oh my gosh, I also did internships. So it was a lot that I was doing, and I really burned out. And I would say for anyone who's looking to balance their lives, just don't try to do all the things.
Yeah.
You don't have to do all the things. Life is long enough where you can do a lot of the things that you want. For me, I focus a lot on my work because I really do love what I do. But I also love cooking, so I make time for it. But also not pressure yourself. I don't update my blog that often. I think the last post I made was a month ago.
Yeah.
So are there times that I feel like, oh God, I should really post? Of course, absolutely. But I don't really get hard on myself and think, oh, you're terrible, you're a failure, you can't do anything. It's just,
Because that defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Because the point of it is to have fun, and if it becomes a chore, it's not fun anymore.
Exactly. So just be kind to yourself, I think is another piece of advice. Don't try to do all the things, and be kind to yourself.
That's actually really good advice, and you'd be surprised how many lawyers don't take that advice at all. And just know your limits, and don't take on more than you need to.
Right.
And I like your perspective of life is long enough where you will get a chance to do everything. No, I've never heard anyone say it like that. It's true, right? Because patience is what a lot of people are lacking. Like we want to do everything now. We want to be successful now. Everything
has to be now.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how you burn out.
Exactly. And especially as lawyers, I think you were telling me that 12%?
I'm like, can you get this? All right.
You said what, it was like 12% of lawyers? Or I'm sorry, how many lawyers?
At the 12-year mark, that's when lawyers quit the law. That's when they leave.
Oh my gosh. What's the percentage of lawyers that actually quit after that time?
That I don't know. I don't think they shared that number.
Yeah, but that is, I mean, it's telling.
Yeah.
There's a reason why that is. It's that it's a demanding job.
Right.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. This smells so good right now.
You just did that. You just did that.
What? You have to do that.
That is the official way to smell things.
You still want this to be like tender, like, you know, still have a little bite to it at the same time.
Okay, so where are we at in the process?
So I have just taken out all the veggies, which is the broccolini, the zucchini, and the English peas. They've cooked in the white wine sauce, white wine, and put it in a bowl to let them cool down a bit. And we are cooking off the pasta. And then once the pasta is done cooking here, I'm going to put it in what remains of the vegetable and white wine. I don't know what you want to call it, like reduction, I suppose. So yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Okay. All right. So here's your question.
Okay.
You said you were volunteering at the city attorney's office.
Yes.
Tell me how you were able to go from a volunteer, or how did you get your position?
Academy of Justice. And it's a 6-week, almost like boot camp training course. And they train you how to run a trial, how to run a courtroom, how to comport yourself in a courtroom and with other colleagues. It's really an integral training. And people who even get hired by the city attorney's office have to go through this. So I was a volunteer for about 10 months. I was told at my first interview for the volunteer program, do not expect a job out of this. And I took that to heart. I really did. But I felt like I was learning so much and loved the people I was working with that it was totally fine. I didn't really have any bad feelings about the fact that I wasn't guaranteed a job. And I worked hard and people noticed and I ended up getting hired. So it works out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely good to be grateful for what you have and always just work towards what you really want.
Most definitely. So I'm putting some lemon juice in the salad. I've already put in some extra virgin olive oil, like a good, tasty extra virgin olive oil. And then I'm going to add some salt and pepper to this, and then our cara orange segments.
Okay, so you added some ricotta cheese to the pesto pasta. Just going to mix it in?
Yep, just al macho like this, just straight up.
Yeah.
So not be afraid of it. Okay.
All right, so for your blog, tell me about that process. How do you think of a recipe and then you just create it and then write the blog post to go with it, or how does it work?
You know, sometimes a recipe will just come to me and I will go ahead and put it together and test out the recipe maybe once or twice, at least twice. I'd rather do that.
Okay.
And then I just start writing, and that's pretty much it. It's a pretty simple process. Nothing fancy.
How do you spread the word about your blog? Or do you?
I don't really. I'll be completely honest. Oftentimes when I tell people that I have a food blog, I feel slightly embarrassed because it's like, oh, look, another white chick with a food blog. Like, I feel like that's kind of ubiquitous. So, I need to stop feeling that way.
Yeah.
It is a problem. But usually I do it by Instagram. I'll post photos of the food, which we're totally going to take pictures of this. I'll post photos of the food and let whoever's following me know that I'm going to be posting it on the blog sometime soon. And then when it's up, I let them know. And I have some people, I think there's like 3 people who follow my blog on like, the actual page and like receive an email when I post something.
I will need to go sign up. So you at least have 4.
Yes, that would be great. So now we're just putting this together.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like. So before we dig into this delicious bowl of pasta and salad, I wanted to thank Trish for letting me come into her kitchen and showing us how to make this amazing meal. So Trish, where can we find your blog?
Well, first, thank you for having me. And you can find me at www.thepetitgourmand.com. Just look down below.
Okay, we'll have that in the description. All right, thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
It's good.
Yeah.